Hey, what is up guys, Bongonzo here. Today I want to make a beat with a 3-beat switch up. Woo! So I found 3 samples on Looperman.com. So I'm going to show you the samples in a second, but they are very different from each other. So this might be a little bit of a challenge, but let's get into it. Woo! All right, so these are my 3 melodies right here, and these top 2 go together. So let's listen to those first. So we're gonna have a really bouncy kind of Uzi type beat on that one. And then we also have the Southside melody, sounds like this. And then this Juice one is super, super clean. I can totally see him rapping on that one. That's crazy. I'm actually gonna seriously go through all the basics of drums here. So if we go into this clap pattern that we already have set up, I'm placing my claps on the 3rd of every measure. And then I'm gonna listen to this beat and see what it kind of, if it needs a snare or a clap. Yeah, I think this beat could use a snare. All right, so a general rule that you use in most beats is that if it's a faster tempo, you want to use shorter drum sounds. So shorter hi-hats, shorter snares. So if you're doing a pretty slow beat, you might consider a snare like this. But if you're doing a fast beat, you might consider a snare like this. So in this beat, since we're at 140, I'd use a shorter snare. So now with these hi-hats, listen to the options we have. For this beat, I'm gonna use this hi-hat right here. If you were to compare these sounds right here, you have this one, and you have this one. Clearly this one is a bit longer, but I think it's going to work in this beat because the melody is kind of like swooshy around. So now I want to make sure these hi-hats have a lot of good rhythm to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in 4 hi-hats like that. And then I'm going to actually change the velocity in these in like this kind of pattern. So you have da 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 da. Like that, and then duplicate that over using Control D. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to have a little bit of a call and response. So you have a stop and then a go. So right here at the beginning I have a, and I want to see if we can go like this. And then but and then do a couple like brr, brr. All right, so now on this kind of beat you definitely want to enforce like the side snares. So da, da. So that's really what we're doing here. We're playing on all the offbeats. And then here I do a little roll. And I'm thinking about taking my roll and using some velocities, because that's a good idea. I think I'm going to use a Zaytone 808 in this one. So if you're making 808s, go up a couple octaves, like C7. So you can really hear the tone that's going on. And then try to play by ear. Ooh, so a cool thing you can probably do is place a single note, and then if you got the cow strips that I showed you in the last couple of videos, you can just cut it into thirds. And then maybe we can go boom, 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 boom. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 808 pattern and copy it down to the kick drum. For kick drum, I'm thinking a really, really hard and quite short kick drum. And let's get some perks. Ooh. So I really like to put my perks at the very first offbeat, so something like this. I mean, now I'm going to do my hi-hats is I'm actually going to take these main ones and I'm going to turn off my snap to grid and move them just barely off. And I'm going to add this plugin called Blue Glitch. So the key takeaways were that since the melody was a little bit off-settling and it was a little bit behind the beat in the original melody, what I wanted to do is I want to make my hi-hats a little bit off the beat, and I want to use really aggressive kind of sounds. All right, so that one sounded good. Let's go to the next one. This. Now let's go to the hi-hats. So I'm definitely going to be using a hi-hat like this one, the tick hi-hat, very, very short, and we're making an incredibly simple pattern. I think that we're just going to do a two-step the entire way through. And we are also definitely not going to be using a snare like we did last time. And this is the slap clap. All right, so I have a good idea with this open hat here. It's the same one I used in the last beat, except this time we're going to use it as like a percussion kind of sound. So we're going to do on the offbeat of every measure. There we go, boys. All right, so now we're using this Juice WRLD melody. And I'm thinking very similar drums to the first one. So I want to just see what would happen if I copied these drums over there. And so with Juice WRLD, we're definitely going to be going for lots of rolls. So what I'm going to stick with just the two-step at first, and then we'll add some rolls to that. And then triple it. And then another roll here. And then we can do some sort of blip blip. I used to say it for the last beat. Maybe I can actually use the same kick drum for 3 beats in a row. I was feeling a different melody, and I found this one and it's so good. The 808's gonna be out of tune probably. So I'm gonna start arranging. We have 23 tracks on this beat. All right, so this is actually the next day, and I want to kind of show you some of the techniques I used when I was actually arranging this beat. And not only how do I make each section individual, unique, and interesting, but how do I transition from those sections to make everything sound clean? So the very first key, if you're making something interesting, you've got to have variation in your melody. So like for example, with this first melody, we have the normal melody, we have a halftime melody, and we also have a melody pitched up an octave. And let's hear how that sounds. Over here, I have only 2 sections of the melody, so I'm just playing the melody clean there. And then over here, the high melody comes in, and it sounds really good. And then over here, we also have a couple of variations. So we have this high loop, which I actually added a couple effects to it, and it sounds like this. And then we have the original, and we also have a high melody that's pitched up an octave over there. Listen to these together. All right, so now I'm going to show you my transition. So I'm going from the first melody to the second melody, and these ones are very, very, very different from each other. All right, so the first thing I kind of want to mention is that the hi-hats in the second section and the hi-hats in the first section are very, very different from each other and really drive the rhythm. I'll remind you, this is what the first hi-hat sounds like, and this is what the second hi-hat sounds like. So what I had to do is I had to bring in the second version's hi-hats so that you already were used to the hi-hats by the time it actually hit the drop. So let me show you what I mean. You also probably noticed that we had the fade out of the original melody and the bring in of the second melody. I mean, that works almost every time. I can't see why it wouldn't work. If the melodies are way too different from each other and you can't transition well, I can see maybe cutting out some sounds for a second, like just having all the melody stop and the new one come in. I can also think a tape stop effect might work. Finally, what I did from the second melody to the third melody is I'm transitioning from my normal melody to the halftime version of the melody. I think the reason the halftime sounds good when you're transitioning, or even when you're ending the song, is because it kind of sounds like you're kind of resolving the original section and you're done with it. And then when I layer the second melody on top, it's almost like, well, yeah, we expected that because it sounds like everything's wrapping up. And I guess I didn't mention this much so far, but these transitions add so much to the whole smoothness of things going on. If I were to mute all my transitions, including this like reverse thing here, it doesn't really even make sense. But then if we add all these back in, it's like you're totally expecting it to come, and then when it does come, it just works right. So yeah, I hope this video helped you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Great videos in 2021. See you guys later. Woo!